Low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, LDL-C, is the primary lipid target for the prevention of cardiovascular disease in patients with diabetes. Nevertheless, up to 60% of those with LDL-C levels below 100 mg per deciliter have hypertriglyceridemia. TG levels are associated with cardiovascular disease and mortality, independent of other lipid fractions. And statins are not effective at lowering TGs. TG levels in addition to lowering LDL-C levels should be considered. Omacor can help your patients with hypertriglyceridemia despite optimized statin therapy. This is a summary of the study named Romantic. The purpose of this study was to examine the efficacy and safety of adding Omacor to rosuvastatin in patients with residual hypertriglyceridemia despite statin treatment. The study is the first to examine the effect of adding omega-3 fatty acids to rosuvastatin. This study was a multi-center, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled study. After a 4-week run-in period with rosuvastatin treatment, the patients with residual hypertriglyceridemia were randomized to receive rosuvastatin 20 mg plus Omacor 4 grams per day or rosuvastatin 20 mg per day during 8 weeks. After the screening and run-in period, 104 patients were assigned to the rosuvastatin plus Omacor group and 111 patients to the rosuvastatin group. The efficacy endpoints were the percentage change from baseline of lipid and lipoprotein levels. The baseline characteristics are summarized in the table. Finally, 201 patients were analyzed for evaluating efficacy endpoints. Clinical characteristics were similar between the two groups. The mean value of TG was 284 mg per deciliter, and 74% of patients had diabetes. There was no difference in the proportion of patients under statin treatment. What were the results? The additive effect of rosuvastatin and Omacor was significantly greater compared with rosuvastatin alone after 8 weeks of treatment, with a reduction from baseline of 26% in TG levels. Among other lipid parameters at week 8, apoprotein A1 and apoprotein B also had a greater decrease with a combination rosuvastatin and Omacor than with rosuvastatin alone. In patients with diabetes, the additive effect of rosuvastatin and Omacor has a greater lowering effect on TG levels with a 25% reduction at week 8 compared with rosuvastatin alone, and this tendency of additional TG lowering effect is present in both insulin and non-insulin diabetes. Individuals in the rosuvastatin and omega-3 group were prescribed 4 capsules of Omacor 1 gram plus rosuvastatin 20 mg per day. Each 1 gram of Omacor contains 380 mg of docosahexaenoic acid and 460 mg of icosapentaenoic acid. Thus, each capsule of Omacor contains 84% of DHA and EPA. In conclusion, this study found that a combination of rosuvastatin with Omacor in patients with residual hypertriglyceridemia achieved a greater reduction in TG, non-HDL-C, and lipoprotein levels than rosuvastatin alone did. Omacor can be applied to any clinical setting of hypertriglyceridemia, regardless of diabetes, chronic kidney disease, sex, and age, without any significant adverse events. In addition, the higher the baseline TG and non-HDL levels and the lower the BMI, the better the effect of Omacor.